This is Coffee with Timmy. Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to Coffee with Timmy. Today we're going to be talking about something that affects only women. But men can listen as well, because this will help you to understand some things about your wife, your mother, your sister, your friend. And I'm talking to someone who has been through it. So this is not just about research and figures and statistics. This is real. I'm going to be talking about having hysterectomy. And it's an operation that quite a number of women have had. It's an operation that quite a number of women have died having it. But it's also one that quite a number have survived it. And we thank God for this young lady, can I call a young lady? Yes. That I'm going to be talking to, that she has survived it. But what I would like us to hear from her, from a personal experience, the journey of making that decision. And I'll tell you why as we go along. The decision, which is not easy for women too. It's not an easy one. How she felt about it, how she felt after the operation. And I've chosen to speak to her because she wrote a tribute to a womb after she's had the operation. So before I go on, I can talk. So I'm talking today to my darling Pastor Charlain. I'm talking to Pastor Charlain Bailey. She's been kind enough to agree to put herself up for you guys to listen to. So, Pastor Charlain, hi.
Hi, Sister Timmy.
How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
The pleasure is mine. The pleasure is actually mine. So, Pastor Charlain, can I say first, when did you think, or when did you know that there was a problem?
So last year on my birthday, the 13th of November, I started my menstrual cycle, and a week later I was still bleeding. But I've had this kind of episodes on and off for the whole of last year, 2022. And the reason for me ignoring it initially is because I have an underactive thyroid.
Okay.
And so when you have an underactive thyroid, you do tend to bleed more.
Okay.
So I associated the bleeding with the underactive thyroid. But normally it would last maybe 8 to 10 days and then it would stop. But this went on for about 3 weeks, the bleeding.
Wow.
So much so that it would stop for a day and then come back 5 days. And then it will bleed like I'm starting the period all over again. And eventually by the 7th of December, we realized no, we need to see a specialist. Mm-hmm. So that's when I went to a specialist.
Okay. And when you were told, I think you were only told you were going to have this operation in
December.
In December, okay.
Yeah.
And when you were told this is what the situation is and this is the only way to stop it, how did you feel?
Okay, so when I went to go and see the gynecologist, I was told that I had a fibroid womb. So a fibroid womb is literally where the entire womb is taken over by this.
Was that big?
Yeah. An average size womb, a normal size womb, is 5 centimeters by 3 centimeters long. So 5 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide. My womb was 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Okay. So it was literally double and in some cases triple the size of a normal womb. So, but it wasn't fibroids outside of the womb. It was an entire fibroid inside the womb that was growing like a baby. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, I was bleeding all the time.
Okay.
So I was very afraid. I didn't really understand at the time what that meant. You hear a doctor using medical terms, but and then all you hear a doctor saying to you is that you have to have a hysterectomy. And my mom had a hysterectomy as well. So I knew what that meant, but still hearing it, it was extremely shocking. I was overwhelmed, I was scared, and I was equally angry. Because I was angry because I had done so much already as a woman, as a mother. I've given birth to children, 4 children, and I've made myself selfless for my husband, for my body. This was an attack upon me. I didn't feel like I deserved it at the time. So that was the base of my anger. That how much more must I go through as a woman? I've just endured all of this, and now I need to have this removed. My body is going to be cut open. I'm going to have to endure that pain. I'm angry now.
Were you angry with your body?
I was angry with life.
Okay.
I wasn't angry with God. I wasn't angry with my body. I just felt I was robbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I didn't deserve it. Yeah. So that was my initial feelings. And then the scientific emotions then started kicking in terms of based on what had currently happened to me. In order for me to have a better life, I need to undergo this procedure. So there's 3 ways of having a hysterectomy done. There is the vaginal way. Then they do the laser surgery in your abdomen. I can't think of the medical term right now.
Okay.
And then there is the abdominal hysterectomy.
Okay.
So because of the size of the fibroid, I needed to do the abdominal hysterectomy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can imagine. I can't imagine. Don't let me say. I can imagine. I can imagine the anger against the body. Like, I've treated you well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've been pregnant for so many months of my years.
Right.
To give birth.
Right.
I have had to endure milk coming out of my body because I had to feed children. I've had to go through period pains.
Yeah.
Because of you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And all you probably need to do is just be there now, because now you've done your work. Let me rest. I think I have an idea how one would feel, because like I was saying earlier, as a woman, this is such a part of us.
Yeah.
It's your breast, it's your womb, and I know, like for example, women who have to have a surrogate to give to have a child, or who and some can't even think of that or think of adoption because I have a womb. Why is it not working?
Right.
Yeah. So when that comes up, and I remember someone in my family who already had kids, but still cried buckets like, oh, they're gonna take this away. I didn't understand it then because I was younger. But I was like, you've already had children. What do you need it for?
Yeah.
But the older I get, I understand this is me as a woman.
Yeah. I felt it was like a violation. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you're saying now. I have done everything right. I've participated in what the world and what my body
I've gone on diets.
has expected me to do. The diets. All of that. So I've allowed all the pregnancy, because as a woman, when you fall pregnant, you were a partaker in that. You knew you were gonna fall pregnant, right? So I was part of that. I didn't have a say in this.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was that violation. It's like, you've come into my body, and you've host yourself there. You've
made yourself host.
You've invaded me.
Yeah.
You've invaded me, and that is what
invasion.
That is what I was angry about, because it wasn't like I was pregnant and I was having a baby, because 9 months later a baby is coming out. Here was something that was potentially causing me bodily harm.
Yeah.
And that's what I was angry about, actually. To be honest with you, I was mad.
No. I think everybody goes through different emotions. Some are just it's just fear, because what's going to happen.
Right.
And I think maybe being angry didn't give you room or didn't give you time to be afraid, at least not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning. Fear did come in towards the end of December.
Okay.
As we entered into the new year, that first week of the new year, I didn't want to. I think I even said to
yes,
you,
I remember
you
asking,
asked me, and I said, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Just have the holiday.
Can we just let me have my holiday? I don't want to. And it wasn't as a result of me not wanting to talk. That was the time I was processing my fear.
Okay.
And you know what we say with your mouth, you manifest. So I had to internally deal with this fear without speaking outwardly about my fear. Because if you had to ask me, how are you doing? I might have just said to you, I'm afraid. And I didn't want to use those terms loosely.
Okay.
Right? So it was really a time to just say, okay, I'm afraid now. In a couple of days' time, I'm going to be going for this operation. And I needed to work through that fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the date for the operation.
Yeah. So here's the thing about going for this procedure, and maybe this will encourage women out there. When you know you've prayed and you've done everything that you were supposed to do, and you've been given all the options by your doctor, and it's important to know what your options are. You need to ask those questions. Don't take it for granted that you have to follow this procedure and there's no other alternatives.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, the hysterectomy should be the absolute last alternative in order for you to have a better life. But my doctor was, he was very wise. I think it's probably his experience, but he insisted that I have blood tests done a week before the operation.
Okay.
And I had the blood test done, and I was very happy because in that blood test, my iron count was low, and so was my blood count. And dangerously low to have an operation.
Okay.
So they did a 4-pint blood transfusion first. And then I waited before the operation. And then I lost blood on the operating table. And they basically put another pint of blood in me. So women potentially might have lost their lives as a result of their blood count and their iron count before going for this procedure, because there's a lot of bleeding that takes place in this operation. I think all operations, but I think in this case there's a lot of blood that's going to come out of you, and so you want to be precautious. So take caution. So literally leading up to the operation, so now I've gone, the day has now arrived, the 19th of January has arrived, and when I went in, I was spiritually, mentally, and physically prepared.
Okay.
So I think the month allowed me to process. So I think it's also important for women not to just go in for the operation because the doctors say. They should allow, depending on the severity.
Okay.
My doctor gave me tablets to stop the bleeding. And it was December period. They were all closing and going on holiday.
So I remember you said it finished and the doctor had gone on holiday.
Right. So I had the tablets to stop bleeding. And then January, when everybody opened, then the 19th was the date now scheduled. So that day, I went in like I would go in for any of my babies. I have a mental thing that I say, expect the worst. Expect the worst kind of feelings, pain or whatever, and then prepare yourself mentally for that, but go in strong and in control. And then when you come out of it, you've already anticipated the worst. What can be worse than the worst?
Okay.
It's just my mental way of dealing with it.
I don't think I'll go into an operation thinking the worst.
Yeah. No, I trusted God, and I knew that when you know whose you are, and that everything works out for your good, and you understand God's word in terms of His word living inside of you. Those words came to the surface, and those words literally built my confidence. So much so So much so that I was able to enter the 19th, enter that hospital, and say to them, right, let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long was it?
So,
Not the recovery, the op itself.
So the op is about 2 hours, but I was in theater for 3.5. And the reason why I was in theater for 3.5 is because I also had a hernia removed at the same time. And I had the blood transfusion as well. Okay. So all of that took an hour, three and a half hours. Yeah. Okay. So you go in and it becomes real when you've just got a gown on and nothing else. And you literally in the hands of these professionals. And you know that those hospital lights that you see above you, that is real. And the anesthetist pulling your arm and not really being very sensitive to your well-being, because he's just doing a job to make sure that your arm is prepped for where he's going to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
And they start putting those tags on your chest because they're going to be monitoring your heart rate and all of that. Then it becomes real. And then there's no turning back from that.
Yeah, and you can't, it's not like when you're having a baby, you can have your husband with you, you can have
No, you're pretty much alone there. And I just remembered saying, I trust you, Lord. And that was the last thing I said. And then when I came out, somebody woke me up and said, Mrs. Bailey, and that was their way of testing me in the recovery. And then I went through the most excruciating pain, because once the anesthetics, what do they call it? The anesthetist drugs worn out, started coming out. I
feeling the pain.
I felt the pain. It was intense. It was very painful. It was worse than giving birth. It was excruciating. I'd never experienced. I asked my husband to squeeze my leg, just so that I could feel a different kind of pain.
Okay, so you could focus somewhere else.
So I could focus somewhere else. All I could do was feel him squeeze. I felt his hands on my legs, but I felt no pain. That's how painful.
It was so bad.
It consumed me.
Okay.
So much so that they gave me a morphine injection and knocked me out.
Yeah.
And so I was literally drugged up for the next 24 hours, I think. Because when they checked on me around about 10 o'clock that evening, I was pretty much just out of it. Yeah. Just enough to have a sip of water and then gone again. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, somebody came to the room, and I don't know what they did. I was still out of it. And the next day, around about 9 o'clock, people were making noises. Then I started kind of like coming to. But at this point, it felt like my entire abdomen had sunk into the bed. Like I had
There's something missing.
There's something missing. I had no strength in me. And then from there, it was just pretty much I must say that the medical profession is extremely knowledgeable about how to treat their patients. Your case must be extremely unique to have a different format. I think they've got the system and the format pretty much wired down. You go in for your operation, you have 24 hours in your bed, and then from there onwards you must get out of that bed. And I never thought I could get out of the bed, because how do you expect me to get out of the bed? You've just cut me open now, and I've just kind of like started feeling like I can manage the pain, and now you want me to get out of the bed.
There have been studies that say being mobile actually helps you heal faster. But when you are the one in pain, it doesn't feel, I don't want to hear that.
Well, you know what,
I just want to sit.
Sister Tammy, so part of the recovery is that they give you a therapist.
Okay.
So I had 9 o'clock a session with a therapist, and she literally helped me. I had no idea. Simple lifting of legs and arms could help you get out of bed. A simple movement with my arms and my legs that she directed me to do. She didn't do it for me. She just told me what to do. I did it, and I immediately felt I could get out of the bed. It was interesting. I never thought it would be possible, but it did happen. Got out of the bed with a bit of her aid, and she immediately took me walking. Immediately. From that point, I was walking. And I never thought I would be able to do that. That was quite remarkable. Got up, walked the entire ward up and down twice with her. And I said to her, I'm tired now. And she said, you know what, you did good. We're going to do this again tomorrow. And she got me back to the bed. And then I looked at my bed. And then I realized how sunken in I felt when I laid down. Because the minute I'm laying down, remember my core muscles now is extremely weak and fragile.
Yeah.
I did not want to get back into the bed.
Oh, shame.
Because
you didn't want to feel that.
I didn't want to feel that. That weakness, that inability to help yourself.
Yeah.
Because I was going to need help every time to get up. They took the catheter out after the first walk.
Okay.
Now I need to go to
the toilet.
To the toilet. So, cruel to be kind. And that helped.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 5 days in hospital. And then, of course, the journey of healing then started at home. Yeah.
And when you got home, how did you feel? So now it's been taken out.
Yeah.
I know it was painful.
Yes.
When I say I know, because I did ask you, and I have spoken to some other people.
Yeah.
But how, mentally now, how are you coping with the fact that why? Okay, let me say, why did you write that?
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah. So
why did you write it?
I wrote the tribute to my womb, because I had now already experienced the anger. I had already experienced that there's no other alternatives for me. I already experienced the fear, and now I'd already experienced the operation. So I just felt that I lost something. And then I recalled, what did I lose? And what did it mean to me having lost this? What did my womb represent to me? Because, some of the ladies that I've spoken to is, it's the best thing that ever going to happen to you. Your body will never be the same again, and blah, 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 all of that. But what did it mean to me? And when I thought about it, I thought, I recall. And I think the best way is just for me to read it, because I think I articulate my thoughts.
Before you read, I think what most women don't do, they maybe stay on the, now I'm not so much of a woman anymore, which is not true.
No.
Because here you still are, you're still a mom, you're still a wife, you're still very much a woman. You're still very much a woman. But I think when we give, like Pastor will say, give it a name, call it, call what it is. And then when we speak to it, I think that, so it's been, I will say from what you've been saying, it's been quite, the word is more than helpful. It's been a blessing that you are a Christian when you went through this.
Right.
Because you had God helping you to come to grips with what is going on.
Right.
And even when thoughts could have actually made things really bad, you had someone to hold on to.
Right.
When you're describing this hospital now, I'm thinking, oh wow, just looking up at the lights and all the strange faces, because everybody's got a mask on now.
Right.
You don't know who is who. That's the only. So when you said I was alone in there, I was gonna say something. You said, but then I said, you realize that God was there. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. That just made it easier. But I think when I saw it, like I was saying to you earlier, when I read it online, I was like, I was so weepy. Even though I wasn't the one going through it, but I could just imagine how this must be. This is, thank you. But I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. But thank you for being there. Thank you for doing what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Thank you for your don't let me say anything. So we going. She's going to read the tribute that she wrote to a womb.
Right. Okay. So this is what I wrote, and this was pretty much what I felt was necessary for me to express to the world the value that the womb actually represents to us as women. So it's called a special tribute to my womb. My womb has fulfilled her duty. Motherhood is so very precious to me and something that my womb has allowed me to achieve. A blessing and a beautiful experience, and I will forever cherish. During my pregnancies, I experienced several changes, both physical and mental. I had a growing stomach and suffered anxiety, fear, and insecurities at times. Despite this, my womb and I worked together to make my pregnancies as pleasant as possible. By embracing the changes and experiencing different sensations, learning about the process and taking care of myself. Over the course of 31 years, I have had given birth to 4 children. It is with profound gratitude that I acknowledge my womb for her service. The past few weeks have been difficult for me as I've had to part ways with my womb. Thank you for the glorious gift of motherhood. And that's pretty much...
As by Charlain Bailey.
By Charlain Bailey. That's pretty much what my womb, the tribute was for. After all the anger, after all the pain, after all the fear of having to lose my womb, she had done me well. She had blessed me with something that no one can ever take away from me. I had the privilege of partnering with her to be a giver of life, and I did it 4 times, and I felt very blessed. And as I evaluated my life and where I am in my life at the moment, it was okay for her to go because she really had done her job.
Okay.
And pretty much that's what this tribute was all about, just to say thank you. Because do we talk about our womb? Do we...
We just take it for granted.
We just take it for granted. I mean, I realized as I was writing it that in all my pregnancies, I never thanked her. I never thanked her that my son was born. I never thanked her that we did this thing together. I mean, how many women have lost babies during their pregnancy, or can't have children, yet they have a womb. And so it was a reflection of it might have come late, but it can also be something that women can now maybe appreciate. Go to your womb and say thank you for bearing children with me and being a vessel that houses and incubates a baby. And because it's very special, it's very unique.
I was quite shocked about how small you said it was.
I promise you, if you do the research, your womb is that small. And it expands.
And then goes back again.
Yes. So, it's beautiful. It's beautiful what that chamber does. And so maybe women out there now can maybe just go and just say thank you, to give her a name.
Yeah, I noticed that you keep saying her. Well, I guess it's a woman.
She's female. She's female.
Yeah.
I referred to her as being her.
Yeah.
Because she is a her.
Yeah.
So that was my poem, and when I finished wrote it, there was more peace that just came upon me. So I didn't have the whole experience of it's the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. You're never going to get your periods. I didn't have that. I think that is something that I will now eventually enjoy.
How many weeks after your operation did you write this?
I think I wrote it in the first week of Feb. So I think about 2 weeks after the operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can see it's still affecting you.
It is affecting me.
Teary.
It is affecting me because it's still a process,
It is.
Sister Timmy.
It is.
You know,
It
it's.
is. It is.
I mean, I still can't. I mean, I might not have any pain, but there's still a centerpiece here where the nerves are still connecting.
It still thinks there's something there.
Yeah, it's
I
still
remember,
it's
yes.
still
It's a
connecting.
phantom
Yeah,
thing.
so there's still a numbness, one area in my abdomen that I'm still feeling. But the main pain has left, and so it's just the nerve endings that's working together. So they initially say, like, for the first 6 to 8 weeks, no heavy lifting or anything like that. But as I was doing research, it takes anything between that period and 6 months for complete 100% recovery. So I'm just being good to my body and making sure that I eat healthy in terms of my gut health. Because my gut health is now the most important thing, because of the hernia operation and the hysterectomy, I can't have any strain,
Okay.
right? So you got to look after yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I plan to go to gym 1st of April. And then my husband, in his wisdom, said to me, let's first walk around the block a good couple of times before you try and push into the heavy. And I must be honest with you, I really need to first do around the block before I can go to the gym, because the core is still weak. So if I'm sitting on
Just take it easy.
yeah, and if I'm sitting on a very low chair, I literally have to lift my arms up because there's not enough
No core
strength.
muscles there. Yeah.
The core muscles are still affected. So it is going to take some time, but we're talking. I'm teary. It is emotional.
But it's an honest conversation with yourself, with your body, and yes, it will take a while.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for talking to me about it. Yeah. So it's been Coffee with Timmy. See you next week. Bye for now.